Have you ever played a video game like Tetris and then walked away and then not been able to get the game or the frame out of your mind? Are you starting to hear about Bitcoin more and more in a positive context in the news and just making that mental connection with what's happening in the industry? Maybe people you know, friends or family are talking about it, mentioning it in their news feeds. Well, as you know, Bitcoin is continuing to be at all-time highs and keeps getting higher. Just the other day, we were talking about NASDAQ promoting Bitcoin in their news articles and NASDAQ advocating for BTC. And now in today's video, we're seeing Bloomberg also telling people that Bitcoin is entirely legit. Also, the world's largest regulated futures trading FX marketplace, they're going to be providing investors and Wall Street traders with transparency, price discovery, and risk transfer capabilities for blockchain assets and Bitcoin. So what does this mean for Bitcoin and mainstream media? How do the Bitcoin forks relate to this narrative and the surrounding confusion? And what's the public service announcement being talked about on Reddit that you may want to be aware of? Let's discuss. Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, and together, welcome to Minting Coins. So it is a rocky, crazy, skyrocketing roller coaster road out there, and Bitcoin is just freaking out and going to new all-time highs. People can't write these articles fast enough and update the news fast enough to really talk about what's happening, what's going on, because so many people are focused in the moment and what's happening in this very second and not really talking about why are we here, what's happening, and where are we going to really support this value, so to support this price. And we're seeing so much blood on the streets with the altcoin market and each of the different altcoins and tokens out there. Let it be whatever your fancy. Even Ethereum is just taking a beating in terms of its respective price to Bitcoin, as the Bitcoin dominance is just swelling into the market. Well, there's a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about all of that. We're going to be talking about the markets. We're going to be talking about what's happening in the news. We're going to talk about some of the reasons and factors that Bitcoin is escalating in its value, what's happening in the psychology of not just inside the industry, but the psychology of the world, that's really causing this dramatic shift in between the value of Bitcoin between the $1,000 mark and the $10,000 mark. Because we're not even in the crazy zone yet, because the crazy zone is going to happen once Bitcoin surpasses that $10,000 all-time high and then really sticks at that platform, right? Sticks above that $10,000 mark, then the world is just going to go bonkers. At least that's what I'm expecting. But before we hit that $10,000 mark, there's going to be a lot of ups, there's going to be a lot of downs, and whatever direction and the momentum that's happening, it can't go on forever, right? It can't go straight up to the moon, and it isn't going to fall straight down to the floor necessarily. But this isn't trading advice, this isn't market advice. What do I know? I'm just a marketing and technology professional who can definitely recognize the tea leaves on the wall, especially when we look at the past, we look at the history of what has happened, we look at what happened with the exchange of and transfer of money and wealth in other parts of our history. Look at the developments of new technology, let it be TV and radio technology, let it be Internet 1.0 technology, the dramatic shifts in society, the naysayers of people that aren't believing, and let it be the cars, or let it be the people putting their credit cards to the computers to purchase shoes online, or this new fancy blockchain technology that isn't something that is super tangible and that the masses are really connecting with. Nevertheless, the mainstream media is just bringing this to the masses' attention. And at what point is the average person going to have access? At what point is the average person going to have the true understanding, the foundation of knowledge of understanding Bitcoin, understanding blockchain technology, understanding what does this mean for their own safety, their own security, the needs for them to be accountable for their own responsibility, and how this really connects them with every single other person in the entire world, right? It's like no longer are we separate from each other in terms of communication. No longer are we separate from each other in terms of trust. And, this really provides a foundation for not just a new way of money, not just for a new way of transferring messages and information, but this really creates a new paradigm shift, a new way of people engaging with each other, and with people engaging and creating things with the entire world. So I suppose before we get into the market and the news, like this video, tap that like button, please comment, leave your comments questions and comments as you have them in the comments box below. If you can't donate with digital assets or with currency of value, then please leave your comments and be part of the conversation. At the very least, it really engages the community. It gets other people thinking, and the least that we can do is all just contribute a little bit to the discussion. And I think you're awesome for it. So with that being said, why don't we pop into the market, take a look at what's going on, see if there's a couple memes that can further our understanding in this new world, and look at the news, and then let's continue to discuss. Okay, so very quickly, starting over here at coinmarketcap.com, over 1,249 different cryptocurrencies, market capitalization reaching almost $0.2 trillion. We're at $191.7 billion, past 24-hour trading volume, relatively high, $8.7 billion. The Bitcoin dominance is just swollen to 61.7%. And I suppose I wonder how much higher can this really go before we start seeing the pullback, before we start seeing a lot of this capitalization that's gone into Bitcoin, this whole $118 billion that's in Bitcoin, and we start to see this, this market cap, this value really go back into the altcoins, which I think is pretty inevitable. I think a lot of people think it's inevitable. This price can't go up forever, and at some point it's going to hit resistance. At some point there's going to be sell-offs. At some point people are going to take their profits, and at some point people are going to reinvest those profits into getting these fire sale deals that are happening all across the board. Let it be, Litecoin or Ethereum Classic or Cardano or Amizigo, even EOS, right? EOS with a year-long sale, it's had a little bit of pump in the past couple of days. But the value of these tokens, respective to the Bitcoin price, is super substantial, and I think it's reasonable to expect a lot of this Bitcoin money to go back into these altcoins. So if you've been holding on to your altcoins, I recommend you just continue holding on to your altcoins. But again, not financial advice. Do what you got to do. But I definitely don't recommend that you buy high and then sell low. That's definitely not the winning strategy. That's what we have to say about that. So is this you? Is this the problem that you're facing? Are you thinking about Bitcoin and blockchain technology all the time? Because once people recognize what's happening, this is it. People are trying to work. They're trying to get their work done. And while they're trying to work on one thing, you have the Bitcoin in the back of your mind. You have the Blockfolio in the back of your mind. You have coinmarketcap.com in the back of your mind, just nudging and wondering, and urging and just saying, just check me, please. What's happening? What's going on? But it's probably best if you're just a hodler. You just time in the market is stronger than timing the market. You can try being a trader. You can have a little bit for day trading, but it seems to be a winning strategy that all the experts are talking about, where you just buy and hold, and overall, just the projects that you believe in, if you believe in them, they're likely going to go in one direction, based on the community and the team behind that technology, not just the technology itself. So I thought this was fun. So this was 1989 Tetris. And I just remember closing my eyes playing Tetris as a kid and just probably wasn't, I'm not sure if it was 1989, but just, let it be the Game Boy or whatever it was and just closing your eyes and seeing Tetris. And now so many people are closing their eyes and they're just addicted with the blockchain. So it's like this major blockchain addiction that people have in the back of their heads. I think it's important just to recognize that addiction is there and just sort of have tools and strategies just to put the phone down, put the blockfolio down, not worry about making those trades, have a strategy, stick with that strategy, and not letting the emotion tempt you from making, some sort of silly decision, perhaps like selling and letting fear or uncertainty or doubt, encourage you to make a decision where, you 9 times out of 10, it seems like someone makes that decision based out of emotion, and then they lose that better position, where then they could have realized, the potential of what they originally had planned, right? But people are just making haphazard decisions. They're making quick decisions, bouncing back and forth between strategies. And every time they make one of those bounces between one strategy and the other strategy, they're losing fees. They're losing difference between Bitcoin price with those buy and sells. And it's just a major risk to be aware of and to avoid. So when I'm, working, we're researching information, we're learning about Bitcoin, we're learning about blockchain technology. There's so much to know. There's so much happening in the space. We're producing these videos, and I just want to let you guys know whoever cares about this channel and cares about content creators and cares about receiving really good information is that every single one of these videos, practically almost every single one of these videos, we get these, how do we do this here? It's that weather aspect. There we go. You see these? There we go. These right here. Not suitable for most advertisers. Requested review. So I requested the review. It doesn't even matter, right? Because this one had it, this one had it, this one down here had it, these two had it, right? And so these get the not suitable for advertisers. They get immediately demonetized. The first couple days, everyone's looking for the brand new information, the timely information. It loses views. It doesn't have ads. All videos being equal, the YouTube's going to show you the video with the ad instead of this video that's demonetized. It's restricted in terms of the visibility. It's restricted in terms of it being included after videos or along the side of other people's videos. And so then every day it's, every day with a YouTube station, we have to go in, we have to go through all the spam, we have to delete all the spam, we have to look for the comments that are real comments and keep them in. We have to get rid of all the spam comments and all the referral comments and whatnot. But we also have to go through here every day, and we have to request the reviews for these videos, This page refresh, I was going to show you, there were multiple on this page. There's still one right now, but even so, October 30th, this is the second. All of the best traffic, all the most relevant information for the majority of the audience, didn't even have a chance to see this because there's so much additional content that's already been created, and the struggle is real. And so leaving that like on the video and commenting and supporting the channel in any way is just encouraged and deeply meaningful. So thank you very much, everyone out there, for commenting, liking, subscribing, and the financial donations, the digital asset donations. It all goes a long way to help us continue doing what it is that we're doing here. Because people are going to continue having information, right? And so this was someone's post on Reddit. It was pretty funny. It was their dad today. The dad says, "Are you still in Bitcoin?" And the kid's like, "Yeah." And so there's like the whole, we have to talk. More and more people are paying attention to what's happening. More and more people want to know what's going on. Start by helping people get a Bitcoin wallet. Start by helping people receive their first Bitcoin transaction. Start by helping people connect with Coinbase and receive, purchase their first little bit of Bitcoin dollar cost average into it if that's what they're interested in doing. And then, maybe teaching them about, how Trezors and Ledger Nano S's have higher levels of security. All good stuff. So there's a lot happening in the news. There's a lot going on in the news. People are really purchasing Bitcoin before these forks. Every time one of these forks happen, just the future playbook. So you guys are completely aware, as opposed to all the noobs who are going to be getting into Bitcoin later this year. Whenever there's one of these forks, all the money swelters into Bitcoin. So before the forks, the money was spread out across the altcoins. And then leading up to the fork, all that money came out of the altcoins and into Bitcoin because everyone is hodling and trying to gear up as much Bitcoin as they can before the fork so they have the two different altcoins. And then after the fork, some people start a little bit before the fork, and then everyone else after the fork, they sell most of the new token, and then they sell much of their position of the Bitcoin that they purchased. And they take that Bitcoin and they repurchase into all of the other, altcoins that they know and that they love, right? And then so there's this waving back and forth of new money coming into Bitcoin, new money coming in Ethereum, and then that money that's going into Bitcoin and Ethereum then being transferred into, not back into fiat, but into these other alternative assets, these digital currencies, which is why the total market capitalization is increasing over time. And right now, the Bitcoin dominance is swelling up, and that Bitcoin dominance is going to go back down again. But all of that market capitalization isn't going to completely exit the space necessarily. A lot of it's going to go into the additional coins. And so how these forks also play into the situation is that it's a fight for the name. It doesn't matter if you love Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin SegWit 2x. Everybody wants to be called Bitcoin. When you go to one of these websites and people are showing you the value of Bitcoin versus the value of Bitcoin Cash, when you go to Coinbase.com and they're going to have the Bitcoin price and the SegWit 2x price, then it's just a fight for the name, a division of the attention, and where people, they're understanding with the information that's being presented. So there's not so much focus, so much strength that's being applied into the real Bitcoin, the main Bitcoin, and whichever Bitcoin that you think that is, of all the different Bitcoins in the world. Although there's one that is has the majority of the consensus of the people behind it, and there's different ways to slice which one is the real Bitcoin. But, I would just be wary of any centralized authority, any large organizations that group together that, stand together, which, define against, the inclusion of other parties, what just one group says it is. And so there's going to be a lot more to talk about that, a lot more to get into that, and that'll be definitely fun moving forward. So speaking of fun moving forward, there's PSA on Reddit. Don't be surprised if Bitcoin falls by 75% like it did during the last rally. And so this person, like us, are very pro Bitcoin, but for the Bitcoin price to be increasing so much, so fast, a lot of this is investor money, a lot of this is institutional money, a lot of this is hedge fund money and just accredited investor money. And just as easily as the money does go into the space, we were saying a lot of that money is going to exit into the altcoins. That's going to, with the majority of the industry and the majority of the traders that understand what's happening right now, but a percentage of the money going into Bitcoin, into the blockchain space, can come out in fiat. It can be a dramatic drop as money comes out in fiat from Bitcoin, as Bitcoin goes, money goes out of Bitcoin as well, not just into fiat, but into these different altcoins. And so there can be a massive drop where the value of Bitcoin goes, down as low as $3,000, down as low as $2,500. It's definitely possible that before the end of this year, the price of Bitcoin can crash, less than $3,000. And so if and when that happens, right now people are selling all of their altcoins that buy Bitcoin at losses. And then if the Bitcoin price was to crash, then you wouldn't want to then sell your Bitcoin for then all the altcoins and then make the same mistake twice. And so it's just important to recognize the direction of how these things are happening, right? Before the Forex, people are buying into Bitcoin and Bitcoin is swelling up. We can sort of predict and expect that the Bitcoin price is going to, correct, and that the rest of the market's going to increase in value. And we just don't want to be surprised if the overall value of Bitcoin and has an incredible swing down, because we've been seeing this over and over and over and over again. The value of Bitcoin price crash, sometimes to an extreme degree. Major parts of the world panic and panic sell, and then the Bitcoin price immediately exceed beyond the point before its original crash, in just months, if not weeks later after that point. So have a strong hand, have a strong mind, have a strong heart, understand these cycles, understand the psychologies. Make your plan ahead of time and then stick with that plan, because there's major volatility that's going to continue to happen, all the way up from Bitcoin going from $7,000 now to $70,000 to $700,000, and then we'll take it from there, right? But there's a long road ahead. And so I thought this was some interesting perspective, looking at the $7,000 Bitcoin and people looking at that moon and some people looking at that $7,000 Bitcoin moon and recognizing that that's no moon at all, that the moon is actually something much different. The moon is something much bigger and much further away, much more exciting. The $7,000 Bitcoin is more of a Death Star. It's more of a risk. It's more of it's a false sort of moon, right? The Death Star has the potential to provide false hope that it's not the actual moon, it's not as high as it is going to be and will become, and B, that this $7,000 $7,000 per Bitcoin Death Star has the potential to cause that huge crash, to dip, to correct, for that money to go either into one way or to another way. And so we just need to, again, just be really aware of what's happening in the psychology inside the very, very, very early stages that we're in the cryptocurrency space and the cryptocurrency industry. Because as Cointelegraph was talking about, in this article that came out just yesterday, Bitcoin at all-time highs, as Bloomberg is now stating that Bitcoin is legit. And so this article at the very end talks about how the Bitcoin has been reaching new all-time highs immediately after the announcements that we're going to be talking about out of Bloomberg and CME Group, hitting $6,400 on Bitstamp and remaining around those levels. But as we know, has already increased to around $7,400 and is now hovering over $7,000 strong, at least right now. And so as Bloomberg is talking about, and as the world is talking about, the CME Group is launching Bitcoin futures, making it legit and making Bitcoin an important part of the world, as being reported by this mainstream news outlet, this mainstream press reports. Now this virtual currency and this new information is coming out since just Tuesday. And so Bloomberg is stating that the floodgates have been opened and the ship is essentially sailing, that Wall Street is entering Bitcoin, Wall Street is entering into the blockchain space, and Bitcoin is going legit for better or for worse. And so this is interesting because while the CME said that they hadn't had plans, they talked about having plans, they really tried dampering some of those suggestions while we knew that they were working on this. Still, they were, setting those expectations down last month. And so no one was really expecting this integration because they were, dampering those expectations. But nevertheless, out of the blue, most of the industry is shocked to find out that this is now a given thing. And so Terry Duffy, the CME Group chairman and CEO, said in a press release that given the increasing client interest in the evolving cryptocurrency markets that they've decided to introduce this Bitcoin futures contract. And so CME Group, as the world's largest regulated FX marketplace, is the natural home for this new vehicle that will provide investors with transparency, price discovery, and risk transfer capabilities, which basically means it's going to be super easy for people with money to be able to buy and sell Bitcoin and these other assets and these other blockchain technologies in these different ways, right? Not just with the current price of Bitcoin, but with the future price of Bitcoin, being able to, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty interesting, the different financial vehicles and systems that are going to be now allowed to traditional Wall Street investors and people that really understand how to get in and out of the markets, and what this is going to mean for them in terms of being able to have just additional ways to access Bitcoin, to invest in the Bitcoin, and to profit from buying and selling at different price points as, Bitcoin continues to increase and decrease in its price. So we know Bitcoin has its detractors. We know that Bitcoin, a lot of people don't believe in Bitcoin. A lot of people will continue not believing in Bitcoin. But the once far off Wall Street, which, Wall Street used to be very, very against Bitcoin and blockchain technology, is now way ahead of schedule. And now Wall Street is just completely tipping their hand to let the world know that they are totally geared up and they are totally positioned to really have a strong foundation alongside this new industrial order. So the CME Group, real quick, they're the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and the Chicago Board of Trade, which is an American financial market company operating the world's largest options and futures exchange. Operates large derivatives and future exchanges in Chicago and New York City, exchange facilities in London, using different sort of trade platforms. It also owns the Dow Jones stock and financial indexes and the CME clearing houses, which provides a settlement and clearing of exchange trades and the like. And so the CME Group is no joke. And the CME Group likely has additional position inside the space. And now the CME Group is going to be allowing people to really add a lot of additional capital into this Bitcoin price. And I think now, as we were seeing in a video a couple episodes ago, that while we were in one end, we're in this psychological race to reach $1 million Bitcoin. In the same light, before that $1 million Bitcoin, we're in this psychological race to reach $1 trillion Bitcoin market cap. And when we have the institutional investors, when we have future tradings, when we have these hedge fund managers, when we have, major levels of capital that are, stampeding like Jumanji toward, this community of blockchain technology, this really, really small $190 billion, it's like a little company. It's like just a little company inside a big, big world, and the entire world is about to be throwing unbelievable amounts of capital, sweltering, the industry, the technology, the assets, and it's going to be a crazy ride moving forward, not just through the rest of 2017, but straight out of the gates of 2018. This is going to be a nonstop roller coaster. I'm super excited. I hope you're super excited. I hope you tap that like button. I hope you comment below. I hope that, that you take the time to understand what's happening inside the business world, what's happening in the technology world, what's happening in terms of the regulation of the blockchain technology in the space, while at the same time, making your own decisions to participate, making your own decisions to be involved, because good things are going to happen and other things are going to happen that aren't so great. And it's really a balance of us taking ownership in this space, and at the same time, equally us taking individual responsibility for understanding what's happening and for sharing that information with each other. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. There's a lot more to talk about. We have more videos on the way. It's just an endless amount of information for us to share with you. Thanks for liking this video and leaving your thoughts and comments in the box below. Until next time, I'm glad that together we are minting coins.